Today, we're going across the pond to talk to our guests from Canada. They are located in the beautiful city of Vancouver. We'll be talking to a university that believes in expanding your boundaries. This university challenges its students and professors every day to discover and develop their talents as part of a journey that transcends the limits of their own professional and immediate environments. Today, we are going to be talking to Nadia from the University of British Columbia, also known as UBC. Welcome, Nadia. How are you today?
Hi, Niven. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me today to talk to me about UBC. I was hoping that we could start off with me asking you a few questions, and maybe we'll get some questions in from the audience as we're talking that we can also address. How does that sound for you?
Yes, sounds like a good plan.
All right, wonderful. So my first question for you is, what are the three best things about living in Vancouver, Canada in particular, for an international student?
Great question. So I arrived in Vancouver, I think about 5 years ago. And one of the things that I've noticed right away is that regardless of what your interests are, you will definitely find something to do in Vancouver. It is a very outdoorsy city. Climate is great. I know that sometimes people think that across Canada you will always see snow and cold winters. It's not always true. A typical winter in Vancouver, for example, would be usually +2, +3, so above Celsius, above zero. And lots of people spend time outdoors. So you will see people hiking, biking, definitely skiing, skating. In the summertime, lots of summer sports, like you can go kayaking, paddling, definitely swimming. So if you're an outdoorsy person, that's the number one thing that you will definitely find here. The next one is lots of artsy activities. If you are into movies, if you like going to art galleries, maybe music festivals, you will definitely find lots of those artsy activities here. And the third one I would say is food. I don't know if everyone in the audience loves food as much as I do, but you can definitely find all kinds of cuisines, like from Asian to European, and new cafes and restaurants are popping up all the time. I can see different places where you can eat on campus, and sometimes I would just walk in the part of campus that I haven't been for a while, and I would see a new cafe open up.
That's
So that's
great.
usually great.
That's great. And I'm sure that that's wonderful for international students to feel like they're at home, so they can maybe even get some cuisine from their home country while they're
Exactly.
studying at UBC. So my next question for you is, what is UBC best known for?
There are lots of things about UBC, but I would say that maybe the number one is that we have a unique balance of three very, very important things that I strongly encourage students to consider when they apply abroad. Doesn't necessarily have to be UBC, but in general, when you plan your study abroad experience, I would definitely encourage you to look at things like the university's rankings, academic programs, the location. Is it in a large city, in a small city? Does it have a campus? And also, what are the opportunities that the university offers you outside of the classroom to learn? So at UBC, we have a unique balance of those three things. We are highly ranked in the world. We are located in a great place with very nice, mild climate. And we also encourage students to learn outside of the classroom, either through a research project or maybe doing a co-op, which is paid internship, participate in clubs, in athletic teams, go abroad on an exchange. Hopefully when COVID is out of our lives, we can resume that.
So to kind of touch upon your responses, one of the things you mentioned was that UBC is well ranked. So how is UBC ranked, and how is a ranking determined?
There are lots of organizations that rank universities in the world, in a particular country. For instance, there is the Times Higher Education ranking, which is quite popular, QSI, and different others. So UBC is ranked among top 40 research universities in the world. We're usually in the top 3 in Canada. We're also known as one of the most international universities in North America because we have students from over 160 different countries. We would definitely like to welcome more students from Serbia, so please apply. We will be happy to see you. And the rankings are usually done differently depending on who is doing the ranking. There are usually set criteria when they would look at research potential or different programs of study, things like that. So it depends on the ranking.
And then you also discussed climate. And so I know that you have two different campuses So they're in the same area, so the climate is probably the same. But what are the significant differences between these two locations?
Yes, so we do have two campuses, one in Vancouver and the other one in Okanagan. So our Vancouver campus is located on the ancestral, traditional, and ceded territories of the Musqueam people, and the second campus is located in the city of Kelowna. It's known as Okanagan campus. It's about an hour flight away from Vancouver, the same province, British Columbia, and the Okanagan campus is located on the ancestral, unceded, and traditional territories of the Silex Nation. The main difference would be the size of the cities and the size of the campuses. So Vancouver's population is about 2.5 million. It's the third largest city in Canada, and our Vancouver campus has about 45,000 undergraduate students. In Okanagan, the campus is a little bit smaller, about 10,000 students. The city of Kelowna is about 200,000. So it's what experience you would like to get when you come to Canada. Would you like to live in a large city, on a large campus, or in a smaller city, smaller campus? Each has its own unique benefits. When you mentioned climate, so in Kelowna, the climate will be slightly different. You will definitely see 4 seasons. So if you want to have really hot summers, snow in the wintertime, then choose Kelowna. Kelowna is also known as one of the fastest growing cities in Canada. If you're the kind of person who is into IT, entrepreneurship, then Kelowna would be great because there is lots of support for young entrepreneurs in the city.
Thank you for that. And you've actually started to address my next question, which was what are the most popular majors at UBC? So if you could tell me about the majors at the 2 different campuses, which ones are most popular for international students, what the study programs look like at the 2 respective campuses as well.
Perfect, sounds good. Overall, we have about 261 undergraduate majors, and they are spread between different faculties. Okanagan campus and Vancouver campus would have similar faculties like arts and science, engineering, but they would also have some specific ones. For instance, you can study music on the Vancouver campus only. In Okanagan, you can study the management program. And when you apply, you don't have to know exactly which major you're interested in pursuing. So if you know that you might be interested in international relations, but you're not sure yet, just apply for the Faculty of Arts, and then you will be able to pursue this major. So there are some programs that are similar, but there are some programs that are specific to a certain faculty. Sometimes you will find differences within the program. For instance, we have this really great program in media studies that is offered on both Vancouver and Okanagan campus, but the content would be slightly different because in Kelowna, as I mentioned, entrepreneurial spirit, IT are very, very important. And so the media studies program in the Okanagan campus is very much digital social media focused. You will learn some very important computer skills, how to maybe create even video games and that focus. Whereas in the Vancouver campus, it's a little bit more interdisciplinary, and you will have classes across 8 main areas, from art history to visual studies and things like that.
So we have a question coming in from the audience about the Vantage program. Can you tell us what the Vantage program is and how it works?
Totally. That's great that some of you have already done research, because that's the only way how you would know about the Vantage One program. One of the requirements to get into UBC is to show that you have sufficient English language proficiency. We accept IELTS, TOEFL, some other international tests. Sometimes students would have excellent high school grades, but they would lack in English language proficiency. So for IELTS, for instance, we require 6.5 overall, but maybe you have 5.5 or 6.0. So you miss that half a point or a full point. For students like that, we have a program called Vantage One, which allows you to start taking academic subjects in your first year, but also have extra English language support. So it is the first year program. It will last for 11 months. And once you finish it, you will go into your second year. So you're not wasting any time. It's just a program that allows you to get extra English language support while you are already taking university classes. And you are considered to be a UBC student. The program is offered on Vancouver campus, so you will have access to all the other facilities like every other student.
So basically, you just have an extra class to be able to catch up with your English level ability while you're attending regular college classes.
Correct.
Okay. And we have another question coming in about the architecture major, and they're asking something about the portfolio requirement, but let's talk about the portfolio requirement in a minute when we talk about enrollment requirements. But could you tell me a little bit about the architecture program, what campus it's located on, and what it looks like?
Yes, definitely. So this is a relatively recent program in urban architecture, landscape architecture and design. It is a program that requires a portfolio because it is a creative program and we need to assess your creative potential. It is offered on the Vancouver campus. It is very competitive because the intake is not huge, so the competition will be very strong, but it's definitely a great program if you have this creative mindset, if you are interested in the spatial concepts, if you want to know more about that. And when you apply, we will look at your high school grades, but we will definitely need to see a portfolio. There is a creative test, and I encourage you to go to the program's website because they have a very clear list of all the requirements, what they want to see from the portfolio, from the creative test to make sure that you meet those requirements.
Thank you, Nadia. And so my next question for you is, why would a student choose UBC instead of other strong universities in Canada as well?
That's a great question. And from the perspective of a former international student, I would definitely say that it is very, very important that you do your research. There are lots of good institutions, not only within Canada, but all over the world. And it is very important that you find the institution that will allow you to pursue your dreams and make your dreams come true. Please do your research, find out what each university is all about, because at the end of the day, it is your life, and UBC might be a great choice for some student, but sometimes for certain students, another place might be a good choice, and it's totally fine. Our goal is to have students whom we can help realize their potential with all the resources that we have, and definitely being located in British Columbia is a great thing. Having all access to different kinds of research opportunities and other active learning opportunities is what attracts students to UBC. But again, I always encourage students to take ownership of this study abroad experience and find out as much information as you can from places, institutions where you want to go, and decide for yourself which place might be the right fit specifically for you.
Thank you for highlighting that. That's something that I'm always telling students, that they need to find the right fit program, the right fit school, and that they need to do their research. So that's a really useful insight. But let's, I guess, shift gears a little bit and focus a little bit more on the student's life at UBC. So students at UBC, you mentioned, have a lot of clubs. So can you tell us a little bit about the different types of clubs? I know there are many and that we don't have time to list them all here, but highlight a few clubs, and then also tell me about some of the other opportunities that are available to students, like work experience opportunities, or even things that are like research opportunities for a professor as well.
Totally sounds good. I personally love clubs because I think that they are a great way to meet students, meet new friends, pursue a different hobby or something that you liked always doing and would like to continue doing this. But clubs also allow you an opportunity to develop what's called soft skills. Nowadays, especially if you are planning to apply for a job later on, it is very important to be able to communicate with people who come from different cultures, who have different backgrounds. It's important to be able to organize your time, maybe sometimes even plan events depending on what your job is going to look like. So if you have an opportunity to start your own club, which is totally doable at UBC, you will definitely develop all these skills. And we have different kinds of clubs. I think about 360. At some point, I just stopped counting because it's not possible. Some of them were created for pure fun. You can, for example, join UBC Ski and Board Club if you're interested in skiing, or UBC Dance Club. But there are some that are very kind of professionally oriented. For instance, Formula UBC within the engineering school. There is a MUN club if you're into international relations. School of Business have their own student society that are very active. They would organize all kinds of career-related events. So lots of things you can do. I usually encourage students to pick 1, 2, maybe 3 clubs. Don't go overboard and sign up for 10 because that will be a lot. And you can definitely try different clubs throughout your period at UBC because it allows you to experiment a little bit and find your fit. When it comes to other opportunities where you can meet people and get valuable skills, you can definitely participate in the research project. We are an intense research institution, and we get over $600 million in research funding, I believe, if I remember correctly. And yes, and research projects are related to industry demands. I think so far, if I'm not mistaken, about 200 companies have spun out of UBC research. So whenever an industry professional comes to us, they usually present us with a certain problem, they give us funding, and our professors try to find a solution. And we encourage undergraduate students to participate in research projects. Even if you have never thought about it, you think it might not be your cup of tea, give it a try, because when else, if not while you're a student, right?
Yeah.
There are some scholarships available as well for research projects. And the best way to land a research project is if you approach a professor. They all have office hours. Now they are online because of COVID, but hopefully at some point things will get back to normal and we'll get back to in-person classes. You can approach the professor, ask them any questions. Maybe you didn't understand something during the lecture, or you want to participate in the research project, and just let them know, because that's usually a great way how you can land that project.
So thank you for telling us about all these wonderful experiences at UBC. For all of our students that are listening and that are interested, can you tell me what the application requirements are for international students? How do they apply and what do they need to do?
Yes, definitely. Overall, we have a holistic approach to application. And what it means is that when you apply, we will definitely look at your grades, because we are an educational institution. You are coming to us to study. So we need to make sure that you have a solid academic background. But we also have what's called a personal profile. That's part of your online application, where you talk about extracurricular activities, maybe volunteering experiences, things you did outside of the classroom that shaped you as a person. Because as much as grades are important, they only tell us how well you did academically. We also want to know more about you as a person. Have you been involved in any clubs, activities? What are your interests? Are you going to be a good fit for UBC? Will UBC be a good fit for you? All of those things we usually try to find out from a personal profile. And if you are applying for creative programs, we talked about the architectural program earlier, there is a portfolio, because we want to assess your creative potential. If we have anyone interested in business in the audience, then for you guys, you will also have a short recorded video interview just for this specific program. And the last but not the least would be the English language requirement. So as I mentioned earlier, you can submit IELTS or TOEFL or some other international tests. If you are attending an international school and you've been doing that for the past 4 years, everything is in English, you've been studying English A, which is English as your first language, you might be waived this requirement. But pretty much the application process is just 2 steps. You need to apply online. The deadline is usually January 15th. And the second step is to send in all the documents. For this year, almost everyone was able to upload them online and provide us confirmation of English language proficiency. So these would be the requirements.
And so you talked about the personal profile. So those are like personal essays where the student gets to describe their experiences and why they want to study what they want to study.
Exactly. This is like a short essay. In fact, there are usually 5 short essay questions. And what we really want to see is students' voice. We want you to tell us about your personal experiences. when we read those personal profiles, we want to picture you as a person, right? Because we don't have a chance to see every applicant in person. And a personal profile allows us to form this idea about who you are as a person. Are you mature enough to be a UBC student, a university student in general? What are your passions? What you like doing in life? And you can find the questions on the website. They're very general, and I always encourage students to give it some time. Don't rush into submitting the personal profile. An online application is usually open early September, when you are about to graduate your high school, when you're in your final high school grade. Usually the application is open and you have 4.5 months to submit everything.
And so now that we've talked about how students apply and what the programs look like, can you tell us a little bit about scholarships? We had a question from the student, one of the students that asked about the Vantage program. With Vantage scholarships, do they extend through all 4 years? Are they 1 year? What do they look like? But despite the Vantage scholarship, let's talk about all of the scholarships. Is there a specific deadline, a specific application? What are the different scholarships available to students at UBC?
Yes, that's a great question. I'm glad that someone asked that. We definitely have scholarships for international students. And to kind of provide you a very brief overview, there are two types of scholarships. There are entrance awards that are purely merit-based. What it means is that we will look at your grades, we will look at your personal profile, and if you are an excellent student, chances are you are going to get one of the scholarships. You don't need to apply separately for entrance awards. We will consider every international student who applied before the deadline, who was accepted to UBC. You will be considered, rest assured. And there is a scholarship that can be given just for the first year of your studies, and there is another one that can be extended for the whole duration of your studies. So that's entrance awards. There is also a scholarship for students with a high financial need, who are academically excellent, who demonstrated leadership potential, but who have a high financial need. And for this scholarship, students need to be nominated by their high school. There is a special online nomination. There are certain deadlines that a person who nominates you needs to compile needs to follow. So yes, there is an opportunity to get that. It's very competitive, as I'm sure you can imagine, but if you're that excellent student and you meet all the criteria, I will definitely encourage you to talk to your counselor ahead of time, because it is a long process. There is lots that needs to be filled in terms of the application and stuff, but it's definitely worth doing. And Vantage, same thing, they have different scholarships. For some, you have to apply and be nominated. For others, they will consider you automatically.
And do those scholarships continue all 4 years, or are they only for your first year at UBC?
It depends on the scholarship that you get. There are some that are just given for the first year. There are some that can be renewed if you keep up your grades throughout the whole duration of your studies.
Okay, and then we have a question about the portfolio, and it was, where does the student upload the portfolio? Is it electronic, or do they mail it in?
So depending on the program, the portfolio requirements will be different. For instance, if you're applying for the Bachelor of Media Studies, they would have an extensive list of pieces that can be accepted as part of your portfolio. It can be a written piece, it can be a short video clip if you would like to be considered for, say, a program that involves filmmaking and things like that. So for portfolio requirements and how to submit it, I would encourage students to go to the program's website, because sometimes there can be differences in the requirements, but lots of times portfolios can be submitted online.
Thank you. And then my last question is, what opportunities do students have available after they complete their studies at UBC?
That's a great question.
And go specifically into why Canada here,
Yeah.
because that's a question that I get very commonly from students.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great question. Canada is one of the few countries that allows international students to work part-time from day one, even though I strongly encourage students not to try to find a job right away, because adjusting to university takes time. But technically you can. And once you graduate, you can stay in Canada for up to 3 years. Usually students apply for a work permit. After they graduate, it's a relatively straightforward process. As long as you completed your degree, it should be fine. And many students, I would say, jump on this opportunity because it's a great idea to have work experience before you decide what you're going to do after that. And if you get a degree from a prestige Canadian institution, then you also have professional work experience after that. Lots of doors open to you. So many students would stay within Canada, not necessarily in Vancouver. They might go to other cities, depending on where they get a job. But after that, it's totally up to you what you would like to do.
Wonderful. Is there any question that I should have asked that I didn't ask you?
Probably just one last thing, and it doesn't apply specifically to UBC. It's just in general. When you're planning for your study abroad experience, I would strongly encourage you to, when you do your research, pay attention to what kind of student support services a university provides you, because it's one thing to apply to get admitted. It's great if you do, but it's also important to know that for the whole duration of your studies, be that 4 or 5 years, you will have access to student support services. Because you most likely, when you come to Canada or any other country, you probably have never been there before. It's your first time. You come there on your own. It's important that the university provides you support, and it should go beyond just academic support. It should expand to personal support, like if you're stressed and you don't know what to do, or you have a question about how to take better care of your health, or where can you find sports facilities, or how to apply for work. All these support systems should be in place because they will help you succeed at the university. And at UBC, we definitely have that. I always encourage students to reach out because we cannot force you to use the resources, but all we can do is let you know that they're there. And please ask for, any advice or help if you don't know how certain things work. Canadians in general are very open-minded, helpful, and if you ask someone they don't know, they will help you find a person who can provide you with the right type of information. So just reach out. We are always here to help.
Well, thank you for that, Nadia. I really, really appreciate that, and for telling us about UBC. So thank you for being our guest today. I would like to let our audience know that if they would like to learn more about UBC, they can message us to be put in contact with Nadia, or they can visit the University of British Columbia's website at www.ubc.ca. For more information on studying abroad, please visit our website at www.ugrad.org or send us an email at office@ugrad.org. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nivena, and everyone who joined. Have a good day.
Bye.